Okay. I don't know if y'all were able to hear that at all, but I don't know. Was that weird for you guys too?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know what's been going on today. It's been really touchy over here, so hopefully
Test
it
test.
works out on the stream. But regardless, we're here on Conference Championship Saturday, everybody. For those joining us later, appreciate you guys tuning in. For those about to tune in, welcome to Conference Championship Weekend. Well, even though it
Yeah.
did already, in a way, get started last night. Oop, did I got you? Or,
You doing the mic check? Mic check.
okay, are you
Mic check.
guys able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can't hear me, can you?
I can a little bit.
All right.
Yeah,
I got my earbuds with my microphone. Let me change my mic.
gotcha. So, okay, something going on with my internet here on my side, so I'm gonna back out real quick and then I'll rejoin. So if you guys want to
Okay.
carry it here for a couple minutes, and then I'll be right back.
All right.
Can you hear me, Coach?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm good.
All right. I wasn't sure what's going on with my microphone.
No, I'm good. You can hear me. I can hear you. Definitely.
All right. Cool. 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 Yeah, buddy. Well, Freddie up early this morning talking about Anthony Davis.
He had a big night last night. You gotta give it to him. He had a big night. The Lakers them had a big night. Anthony Davis took it to
Yeah,
Milwaukee them last night.
yeah, he did. That's the Lakers that they signed up for. That's what we
Mm-hmm.
thought they was going to see day one. And when you let go of all the young guns for Anthony Davis, that's the production you're supposed to get.
Yep. Both get that. You
So
expect that every night. Yep.
every night, and the way they was, I told him, I'm gonna get on him later on. The 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 if was a fifth, we all be drunk. He gonna have to stay healthy. He gonna have to stay healthy and get it in, man. This is the big dogs in the morning, man. It's big dogs on campus. That's Coach Dante. I'm Big AC. Big N gonna be in shortly. Big Lennon gonna be in shortly. Big Martin Luther King Pounds gonna be in shortly. It's championship weekend, man. Like Big N said last night, SE just had to play their game, and they were
Yep.
in. But guess what? They tried to play Utah's game and got socked in the mouth.
Yep.
Ah, boy. Oh, boy. Go Bruins. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Somebody said, "You salty?" No, I'm not salty. I just told them playing Utah on Friday night is dangerous, man.
Yep.
You play Utah on Friday night, that's suicide.
That's
What you thought about
suicide.
what you thought about the game last night, man?
Well, like I say, I picked this game to be an upset on 7,200 seconds. So I picked Utah, second year in a row. Congratulations to Utah, second year in a row. They the Pac-12 champions. So right now they are everybody's daddy in the Pac-12 right now. They pounded Oregon last year. They pounded USC this year. And like I think we all discussed it last week. USC defense is not good at all. They're not
At
really good
all.
on the defensive side.
At all.
Um, they USC from the first half kind of looked like they were gonna come out. They were gonna roll through Utah. With Keller Williams was running around with the zone read option keepers. Then he finds on a fourth down to two. They kind of go for it. Someone forgot the running back out there in the flat in Brown. And then Utah comes, get a field goal next minute. You had number 16 gets wide open for a touchdown. But Utah, this is what they do. They keep fighting back with the running game. And Cam Rising, how good was Cam Rising last night?
Mm-hmm.
Hits money Parks right over the middle. USC defenders got
Money.
to money Parks, man.
That's gonna be the best name.
Money.
That's gotta be one of the best names. That's
It
gotta
gotta
be
be
one of
one
the
of
best
the best
names.
names in
Gotta
college,
be.
man. I never heard that name. Money. First name Money, last name Parks. He takes
Yeah,
the
buddy.
ball to the house on a couple of missed tackles, and after that, man, Utah defense was getting after it too. They were beating up
Mm-hmm.
on Caleb Williams. They put some pressure on him. They forced him to make some tough throws last night, man. Give credit to that Utah coaching staff. Lincoln Riley definitely got out coached, but the team definitely got outplayed as a whole. And you got to give credit to that Utah defense from slowing that USC offense down. And I mean, they put a whooping on Cameron and was amazing last night. So, and he took a big shot for the team. How about that shot that he took? Was able to get up, man. I mean, got his helmet knocked off, got hit hard, and he came back and responded in a big way. But give credit to Utah and that defensive Cameron and showing up, man. Give credit to him.
Yeah, I mean, he did it again.
Yep.
That's basically what he did the first time around. So I'm not surprised. As a UCLA alum, and I want to say I want to pull for the Pac-12, but the Pac-12 going Pac-12. We always count each other out. We always have these little rivalries, these small little trap games, and we just can't get out of our own way. And like I said, and I think in the sports talk group we in, and the Sports Empire Network, small part of me wanted USC to win and represent. But the big part of me was like, man, forget them dudes, forget the Pac-12. It's UCLA on minds. And like my man Orlando Brown said, on blood and on crib. That this is it's bad blood. And I think it's better that they got smashed last night and not embarrassed in the BCS. Just imagine if SC played Georgia.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. It wouldn't even be, it would be dangerous.
Yep.
You're talking about some kids really getting hurt. Now Cam Rising took that shot. But look at this. Imagine if Georgia's grown men laying that wood. I mean, that was a precursor of how the hitting gonna be against Georgia or Michigan. Michigan's tough inside too. So I do take my hat off to Caleb though. Caleb Williams played like a soldier with that messed up hamstring.
Yep.
I always thought he was a little chunky. I know it was like he's a thick guy. He looks like Russell Wilson out there, but plays a lot more like somebody a lot better. I mean, he still was still dotting. His throws were off because that leg was out. He blew that hammy out in that long run, I believe. And when he wasn't able to be mobile, he was looking like an old NFL quarterback that can't get out the pocket. It looked bad, but I think he still solidified himself as a front runner for the Heisman by sticking it out, still throwing another touchdown pass, still scrambling and getting some yards and fighting for his team all the way to the end. Now, had he tapped out after that run, would he have hurt himself? But he stuck it out.
Yep.
Could he have? I mean, I heard some SC fans saying he hurt the team. That was selfish last night by staying in there. That was selfish. Nah, I think you gotta roll with your guy. He's still better than a guy that ain't played all year. With one leg. So but it was.
I mean, if he was taken out of that game at that time, and didn't continue to play the game, probably would have been much worse than what it was. Because you remember he broke that run early. I think on the second possession of the ball game, he broke that run to the left side of the field. So it was a very long run. So. Again, I applaud him from standing in there and doing it for his team. He had a solid game, man. He 28 for 41, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He had a solid game. He didn't have a bad game, so he's still front runner for the Heisman Trophy. They didn't run the ball good. They didn't run the ball well at all with the running backs last night. Jordan Addison only 5 catches, 65 yards, so he was pretty much held in check by that Utah secondary. And that Utah secondary is really good, man. That Utah secondary is a really good secondary. So giving credit to them. Go ahead.
Yeah, Clark Phillips is the DB that was on Addison all night. Clark Phillips is actually part of the BOSS program. My son's part of the BOSS program out here on the West Coast. My man, Everett Glenn is the director of that program where they help the young men figure out their life after football with business training and things like that. So Clark Phillips, he got beat on that one deep ball. The one deep ball, a post corner route, he got tripped up and fell down. So Jordan Addison was on free on the sideline. That was the only play he was able to get, the big play. But for the most part, number one from Utah, which was Clark Phillips III, did an excellent job on Jordan Addison all night last night.
Yeah, but he held Jordan Addison in check. Got to give him that credit for that. Yeah,
I mean, quarterback's press release. They get their personnel pairings for the week, and on Monday or whatever day they do their scouting reports, and you figure this is an NFL player. Yeah, you got to look at the play. Clark Phillips is a Thorpe Award winner candidate. He's going to top
Yep.
DBs in the okay. A smart quarterback's like, I'm not going to test the number one DB in the Pac-12 if I don't have to. So I think it was just more of a lines of, you got that dude guarding you, we're going to go to number 16. We're going to go to Washington. We're going to go to Jerry Rice's son. I hate that we got to keep calling him Jerry Rice's son, but that's kind of who you are, bro. You're Jerry Rice's son. And you got,
Yep.
as long as you're playing football, you're going to be Jerry Rice's son. That's the GOAT. But, again, he slung that thing around where he had to throw it. A lot of drop balls for SC, uncharacteristically drops, but, I sat back giddy. I'm sitting back laughing. And I was like, as soon as they tied the ball game up at halftime, my phone blew up. All my coaching friends said SC in trouble because they do not run the football.
Yep.
And
they didn't do it last night.
You got to run the football, man. You cannot play Utah, Michigan, or Georgia and not be able to run the football, as Oregon found out at the beginning of the season. You cannot go in there finessing these dudes that's in the trenches in these last top games. So I think this was a very telling Big 12 type of game that Lincoln Riley's accustomed to in the Big 12. But in the Pac-12, we're going to count each other out. You're going to see some big dogs at some point in the season, whether it's going to be Stanford, whether it's going to be Utah, whether it's going to be Oregon State. You can play finesse versus UCLA versus Oregon, but against Utah, you better bring your big boy draws. Yeah. So it was exposing. They got exposed, and Lincoln Riley better get in that portal, grab him some D linemen, give him some linebackers, and play USC football. Get him some running backs because you got Travis Dye went down, but you still got to have 3 or 4 running backs. This is USC. Just tailback you. You. Shame on him.
There we go.
Ian's back. There you go.
Yeah. And I can actually hear you guys this time, and it doesn't sound like everybody sounds like goddamn robots. So, but yeah, no, AC, I thought you'd appreciate the little banner I made for today. If you look at the bottom right about now.
AC, appreciate seeing USC lose.
Yeah.
I so do appreciate it. I so do appreciate it.
Yep, made that one just for you, buddy.
I told him, I said, a little bitty part of me was like, come on, SC, represent. But I'm like, well, they leave the Pac-12 anyway. Forget that. We got Deion Sanders coming to town.
Because I remember saying also AC on 7,200 seconds, man, Key. I picked Utah to win this game because I know how tough they would be. I knew their defense was really, really good. They have probably the best secondary in the country out there. And then you mentioned the number one corner on that team. And like I say, I remember what they did to Oregon. I went back, flashback when they smacked Oregon both times in Utah. And the fact when they come back, they do it to USC this year at USC, and USC just wet the bed this year. So like I say, man, that Utah team is phenomenal. So at the end of the day, what a way for USC to go in the Big Ten as well. Probably going to Big Ten, like you said. They better get some defensive linemen. They better get some running backs. Jordan Addison leaving in the draft. They got to probably get a receiver help out to him. Oh my goodness, they better stack up because when in that Big Ten ain't gonna be no joke. With Michigan, Ohio State, that Big Ten gonna be something serious.
I think it's one more year though. It's 2024, so they got one more year in the pack. So and they got kids coming in that are going to replace these guys. As they put the graphic up during the game, the whole starting 7-on-7 team were imports. Mm-hmm. So I believe Lincoln Riley's going to reload. Now the kids that got coming in, Zach Branch and Micaiah Lemon, those kids will be playing on Sunday. So they're going to be fine at the skill position. That's not the problem. Mm-hmm. It's the trenches. It's the defense. It's the running back. So SC, they back, but they not all the way back. Yep. So I think we'll get into it a little bit later who UCLA going to reload with. I think it's some rumors going around. My rumor review been going off, man. I heard the Deion Sanders talk like Tuesday. I had to keep my lips shut. I had to be quiet about that because I knew something I wasn't supposed to know. I got my inside connections, from when the guys I know that know Prime. And it's like, yeah, this is what's about to happen. I'm like, oh, can I say something? Please let me say something. It's like, no. So yeah, man, it's about to go down.
Yeah, all I know is the entire state of Colorado started cheering as soon as we heard that we were actually getting prime time here in Colorado. So it'll be interesting to see how he builds that. I mean, he went 27-5 during his time there at JSU. So
it's about to get ugly because you got the skill guys now. He can get the big uglies. He can get the linemen. He can get the linemen. It's about to get scary up there.
Yeah, and I mean, not only that, the NIL deals, and if I remember right, I think his son's coming with him too. I
Oh,
don't know if that's been assigned, but
he's bringing his son. He's bringing Travis Hunter. He's bringing Shiloh. He's bringing 7 dudes from JSU that's going on play on Sunday, and he got the academic restrictions relaxed. He's about to
mhm.
go off, man. He's about to be on. I'm like, I think the list of demands are higher than the ones they had Kyrie doing to get back in the NBA. He was like, I need this. I'm talking about his coach is looking for houses. They're getting
Yeah.
raises like they're getting $250,000 more than they was getting
Mhm.
at JSU. So it's a good deal. I think he hooked his boys up.
Well, not only that, you kind of need that extra money trying to find a house up there in Boulder compared to down there in Mississippi. To be fair, because
Big
two hundred
dogs.
fifty
Yeah.
thousand that'll get you a nice, 2-bed little place. But I mean, an extra 250. Now you're actually talking a little bit of a nice coaching place out here.
Oh
So,
yeah.
but
And
there's
then they're
also.
gonna buy homes. They're gonna buy they're gonna get apartments. They're not crazy.
Mhm.
You're gonna
Yeah.
hear for a little. They're here for a short time, not a long time. I don't think Dion's gonna stay longer than 2 years because
Oh, okay.
that's not his ideal destination. He want to be where it's warm in Florida, but you got to win in the Power Five to get that love. Right now,
Mhm.
he's not getting the respect he wants. That's the only
Yep.
reason why he's leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you figure he stays in Colorado for a couple years, maybe the Florida State job opens up, and we all know he running for the hills at that point.
Oh yeah.
So, but either way, I'm happy for him. He finally gets a platform to actually show what he could truly do as a coach at a big time stage where he's guaranteed to get TV time now. So, I mean,
Yeah.
but not.
I think ultimately he wants Saban. He wants to play with the big boys. I don't think it's about TV time. I don't think it's about money. I think it's about principality, Smokey. It's about principle. I think he really wants to get that respect that he ain't get
Mhm,
initially. So I just know it's a competitive thing to him. Like get my guys paid, give my kids
mhm.
the platform playing at the highest level because the concern is I got this 11-0 Jackson State team and I still have to worry about how my kids are going to be treated in the NFL draft. They're going to be seen as mid-major players when you never know. And you got Travis Hunter, who's a 5-star who can play anywhere. I mean,
Yep.
we don't even know
Mhm.
if Shador can be an NFL player until he plays against talent. So we'll see how this works out. Hopefully, Dion's right on some of his guys, and you're gonna know real quick.
Yeah, I know some of us were making jokes that, oh yeah, he's trying to pull a Kevin Costner wanting to move to Colorado out of nowhere. Oh yeah, he's
Mm,
going to come in on a horse. I'm like, nah, he's going to ride the goddamn buffalo into his first press conference. Ralphie can support him, so
yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man.
for sure. So I don't know how far you guys got into it, but obviously, you guys were talking about USC when I jumped back in. Did Caleb Williams screw up his chance to go into New York and win that Heisman?
I
Not
think
at all.
yeah, he's good. I think he's
He's
Okay.
good. I
good.
think, yeah, I think he fought through. I think that adversity is something that we need to see as fans, as voters. We don't get a vote, but as far as our public opinion, I didn't think he hurt himself. Now, again, like I said, the SC fans might be salty. He was being selfish playing on the injured hamstring. I think he
Mhm.
still played pretty well, man. I still think he
Yeah.
went out there and fought. He didn't hurt himself to me. If he was the front runner, he should still be the front runner. Who's
Yeah,
second?
Definitely agree.
Who's
Agree. One
second?
thousand
If
percent
he
agree. He
Max
only
Duggan maybe.
him and Cam Rising missed 12 passes last night. He only missed 13 passes. And like I say, he still did a great job. He still did a great job last night. So he fought through a hamstring. He couldn't move. After he missed that hamstring, he wasn't mobile as he was later in the game. And now you start seeing that Utah defense seeing that, and you start seeing them now all of a sudden amp up the pressure on them. And the offensive line got beat the hell down last night. They got dominated and beat down. At the end of the game, we started seeing Killer Williams trying to do whatever he could to run up out of the backfield. And there was a Utah defender just kept coming and they got to him. So after that long run early in the game, you could really tell the Utah youth saw that and they took advantage and they started bringing the pressure. They started bringing the pressure, including at the end of the first half. You saw the pressure get to Caleb when you started seeing throws offline, and he was really hurt bad last night. But he fought through, and he still had a great football game, and I like that. That's a warrior. I like when you can fight through an injury like that. You already know when you go out of the game, You're gonna have fan base. Oh, he literally quit up on the team, but he fought right through it. Now you're gonna have guys come out like Big A said. You're a selfish player. I mean, you're trying to win a championship. You're trying to carry your team to college football playoff, and you're trying to stick it out with your guys. Unfortunately, Utah defense saw what was going on, and then they just took advantage and just amped it up a whole nother level on them.
Yeah, I was going to say, especially when you're outscoring your opponents 44-7 in the second half of a championship game, you know somebody made the right decision at the halftime there. So, but obviously, like AC was seeing Pac-12 out. So, does that mean Ohio State slides in? I mean, that's the only thing that seems to make sense right now, as it stands right now, because we still got a whole lot of games today. But, I mean, there's no way that they would have Bama jump Ohio State right now, right?
They did lose at home by a bunch. And Bama's only lost about that's the thing we don't know. She got destroyed at home, and Bama's losses were by what, combined 4 points?
Yes, sir. Combined 4 points and overtime in the second one. So, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, trust me. I think all of us have that little bit of cringe going on in the back of our head, just knowing that Saban's sitting there, just licking his chops, ready to go.
He's sitting there like, he's sitting there doing, he ready, man.
Oh, man.
They ain't got to play today, right?
Nah, they got to sit back and wait to see what's gonna happen with all the crap gonna go on today. Wait till somebody slip up. Waiting to TCU or somebody to slip up. They just sitting back with Nick Saban just licking his chop, just sitting up there, rubbing his hands and just waiting for one of those teams. But they lost to two good teams at the time. I mean, Tennessee was hot at that point of time, and LSU was the hottest team at that time. So they played two of the hottest teams at that time in the SEC, and they lost to them in a close dog fight. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they got ahead and move them up there, but they are waiting in the weeds on TCU or Michigan, whoever to slip up. Like I said, I think Georgia is the only one that can take a loss and still be in, but the other two, it's a lot of pressure on them today.
Yeah, and speaking of that TCU wait, they don't have to wait very long because that kickoff here is in about 2.5 hours. And I know we keep talking about how, having to beat a team twice is dang near impossible. Utah showed it last night that it is very much not impossible to do that. So, I mean, how realistic can TCU run the table? And does Deuce Vaughn run absolutely wild on TCU again?
When you got that ability to run the football, again, how demoralizing that is. And an early 9 a.m. championship game, 9 a.m. West Coast time, so noon kickoff. That's great. That's kind of greasy, man. You don't put them at the early game for a championship. You put the championship in the midday, so everybody can be settled in. Like the kids ain't even settled in. Your pregame meals, breakfast, is I don't like that idea. I thought it was gonna be a primetime game, but can you stop the run first and foremost? And any time of the day, you got to stop the run. So that's what SC was lacking last night. The ability to stop the run and run the football. That's football, man. You can't. It's not passing league. It ain't 7-on-7. It's football. If you don't have a balanced attack, you're gonna get. And that's what TCU's threat is don't get happy looking ahead to the BCS. You better tackle the running back, and that should be your focal point. Make them throw the football and do what you do best. It's that small little, like, I hope Nick Saban ain't calling them referees like he used to do, like calling them up like, yo, now's the time, make it happen. I hope that don't happen. I hope it's a fair game, bro. I hope so.
One thing you mentioned, Big A, about the running game, that we all know TCU didn't play a great team, but you go back to the week before when they almost lost against Baylor, they got gashed on the game. So that gives some weak exposure right there to Kansas State on the film study right there. Hey, I think we can run the football against these guys. Now, if they can come out, stop the run early, control the tempo and get some early stops, I think TCU, they got the receiving help. They got Johnston, the big tall receiver that they have that's very good, that's going into the draft this year. Max Dugan as well is going to the draft. So this Kent State team is no slouch. They can be pretty dangerous in this type of ball game right here. So it's going to be a lot of pressure on TCU, but they got to come out. They got to stop the run, something that they really struggled with a couple of weeks ago against the Baylor Bears. So they really, if you have a great offensive line and a solid running back, you're basically going to be able to run the football against them. And Baylor did whatever they need to do in win that game. They did whatever they need to do to win that game. It was just the last possession that they had when he missed a receiver wide, flat, wide open, coming across the middle of the field. He just decided to down the ball, and Max Duggan was end up taking advantage. So it is some weaknesses on that TCU defensive side. But that offense is very explosive. And like I say, I expect Kansas State to try to give them a hard fight today.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with you on that. I think it adds a whole different wrinkle knowing that Adrian Martinez is not going to be there today. I think that brings a whole different dimension to the K-State offense because ever since Martinez has gone down, K-State has actually had a very balanced offense, literally 211 yards passing per game, 210 yards rushing per game. So I'm wondering if that might be an issue for the TCU secondary. And then obviously we all know what TCU is going to do. We all know what Sonny Dykes wants to do. So, I mean, it feels to me like it's going to be aerial assault versus the run game. And I know last week I was shooting a high school game in that exact same situation, and it was the run game that prevailed. So, and looking at the numbers right now, TCU, as great as they've been, they're only favored by 1 today.
Ain't that something?
So, I mean, is this something kind of like what you were saying? Is this some Saban voodoo, or is this just plain disrespect there to TCU?
Man, Nick Saban is in the lab in the evil empire underground somewhere in Tuscaloosa, brewing up a batch like Gargamel, bro. He down there like, oh, put some more rat tails in there and some more garlic. Let's see what we can muster up. 1 point, bro. 12-0.
1 point.
1 point, and barely gave him the favorite. It might have made that thing a push.
Yeah, money lines minus 120. So, I mean, you make 20 cents to the dollar at this point. And then your whole over under is 62. So they're expecting like a 31-30 out of this. And I mean, the last time they played it was 38-31. So it may not be too far out of the realm, but I don't know. Dante, what are you thinking about that?
I think it's reasonable, man, because Big 12 play is so tough. Outside of Iowa State, who are really good, every battle they only lost. My Longhorns only lost to them by 7 points. Only lost to them by 7 points, 17-10. It was a close dogfight against Baylor and Kansas State. They're a solid team. They're really a solid team, but granted, they won't have Adrian Martinez, but it's very reasonable, man. Big 12 play, when you get in those conference plays, man, that can be really tough, man. Well, team know you, they know how you play, they know your playing style. Hey, man, them conference teams, and the teams like when you play in high school in a district, when you play in a conference, those be your toughest battles. No matter how bad they are, those will be your tough, hard fought dog fight battles, and it can be pretty tough today in the SEC in a Big 12 championship game. So TCU, a lot of pressures on them. I'm telling you, Nick Saban, just like Big A said, he waiting in the weeds. He in the laboratory, cooking up something evil right now. He just waiting.
Here's
peeking in the window.
Here's the point, Coach. What if Nick Saban is controlling the money lines? That adds doubt. That adds doubt to the TCU Horned Frogs. We only have 1 point favorite, Coach.
Yep.
Yeah. Kansas State's a tough team. The kids start doubting. Kids like, oh my God. And Nick Saban's like, yes, it's working. It's working.
He got it on him, huh?
He got the refs. He got Vegas. Man, Nick Saban, they got them commercials. Them kids be sitting up in pregame meal watching TV, and the daggone what's this commercial? Aflac commercial gonna come on. Nick Saban gonna be sitting up with Deion Sanders doing the dance. It's gonna be it's a mind thing happening, man. Just a little bit of doubt creep in there. That's all it takes.
Yes, because it's the Saban sports books that are making everything go around today. So,
Nick Saban.
Yeah, but with all that in mind, I mean, we all know that Alabama wants things to go wrong for TCU. but will they go wrong for TCU today?
Kansas State gonna upset TCU today, man. I saw what I saw. That last minute debacle by Dykes,
Mm-hmm.
and they ran the football after they spiked it. I just didn't feel good about their coaching decisions, their awareness of the magnitude of that. Their undefeated season lied on the coach's play sheet. What do you do in this situation? These fools downed the ball and then ran the ball with 20 seconds left. That right there let me know, like Coach Dante said, this is a vulnerable team. Sonny Dykes might be in over his head. K-State in the upset. Hate to say it, Bama gets back in. Nick Saban, you win.
I was gonna say, you willing to put it on it? You
$2
willing to
bet.
do it?
Oh man, not the $2 bet. $2 it is. Let's do it.
Okay.
$2 bet. Kansas State upsets TCU, and we got chaos at the top. That's what we were saying last week. Chaos
Yep.
at the top, and this is what we're seeing. And nobody's safe in the championship week, like Coach said. Ain't nobody safe.
Yep.
It's conferences. They got film. They got film. They got rivalry. They got history. And you got Nick Saban in the lab brewing up a witchcraft, jamming to fix the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, I agree with Big A 1,000%. I'm pulling for the upset, but I'm trying to see what type of crap that the committee is going to do this time. So the odd teams in, so we already know USC started it last night, the last night with Ohio State getting put back in. Now,
Tragic.
TCU lose this week, which is, I agree with AC. I'm going for the upset this weekend. Another upset. Hey, Alabama right out. Nick Saban, his voodoo has worked, but I want to go through something that's very interesting. And I'm like Big A said, and we both said, hey, they've been vulnerable throughout not throughout the Big 12, but throughout the whole year. They lost. They beat SMU by 8. That's a close game.
Yep.
Oklahoma, that was like a scrimmage game. Everybody been beating up on Oklahoma this year. They have not been really good. That defense has been bad. I'm surprised how bad that defense has been. Kansas, they only beat them by 7, 38-31. So that tells you that TCU defense ain't that good. Ain't great at all. Their defense is not great. Oklahoma State, they beat them by 3, 43-40. 43-40. The defense gave up 40 points. Kansas State, they gave up 28-38. West Virginia, they gave up 31 points, 41-30. Texas Tech, 34-24. Like I say, my Longhorns, 17-10. Baylor should have won that game, 29-28. So and then the scrimmage game that they had last week, they are vulnerable, and I think they're gonna go down today.
Fair enough.
Scrimmage. They wasn't even tackling. They was playing third. They were playing two-hand touch at practice.
They were doing something, but honestly, I'm gonna put my $2 on TCU simply for the fact I don't want to see Bama anywhere near this Final Four. They are my last hope. They are my last hurrah here. So it's my little Han Solo to keeping the evil empire out of the Final Four anyway. But
you know what, man? I think Nick Saban really does have a spell on me, man, because I've watched these new age villain hero movies, and you start pulling for the villain.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of want to see Bama sneak up in there and make some noise. I think it's actually better this way, that they are climbing and scratching to get up in here and sneak in the back door and not be the favorite. I don't think anybody's going to beat Georgia, but just in case, if Bama somehow beats whoever they've put up against, say chaos does happen, and you get Bama versus Michigan, Georgia versus Ohio State. Georgia going to smash Ohio State. Bama has a puncher's chance to beat Michigan. You get Bama, Georgia in the championship. You get Smart versus Saban, the teacher versus the pupil again, and the teacher ultimately, I am your father, Luke. It'll be kind of like poetic. It wouldn't be justice, but it'll be poetic. I don't know, man. I kind of want to see it. I want to see the chaos.
Hey, I
man.
agree. I like it. We said that last week. I said it this year. I want to see the chaos. So I want to see someone go down, man. I want to see, especially if TCU go down. I believe Michigan now has an outside shot of still making it if they're losing. But if TCU loses, man, chaos is coming, and we know Nick Saban is coming back, getting back in the playoffs. Because who's after that you're gonna put in? Who's after that? You got Penn State. You still got Penn State, but I think Tennessee. I don't see them going right back though. But I think the best odds is Ohio State and Bama if TCU slips up today. That's gonna be hilarious. You're gonna see your first two loss team in the playoff. Yeah.
So my personal thoughts on this is, say TCU loses, but it's like a 3-point loss. Is that still enough to knock TCU down below Alabama in your guys' opinion?
Yes.
Recency, man.
Okay.
It just happened. Like Bama's losses were so long ago. I forgot them. But anybody lose right now, like the only team is safe is Georgia. They're playing a very, very, very dangerous LSU team. Okay. They're still top to bottom. Like when I think Coach said earlier that Utah had the best secondary, I believe Georgia had the best secondary. They got some NFL. They got NFL guys back there every year, and they're loaded. Like they got grown men back there. So like if LSU beats Georgia, that would be the only way. But I don't think that's going to happen, man. But I do believe we will see our first 2-loss team in the BCS, and it's going to be the Evil Empire, and everybody's going to be mad.
All right. Yep. Well, personally, I will say I think 2 teams are safe because I think no matter what happens with Michigan, just the way that things would play out, they would fall to 4 at worst.
Yeah, I think they still got an outside shot of being in. If they still lose the game today, they lose the championship today. But like I say, the big thing is TCU. If they win, they're in, and that keeps Bama from getting put in. That keeps Bama actually from getting put in. So again, and you got to go by what the committee. If the TCU lost, the committee, you got to think about what the committee is going to say in these rooms. TCU with the 1 loss, can we still put them over Alabama and Ohio State? Can they beat them head to head? And I don't think TCU can beat either of those teams head to head. I really don't think TCU can handle both of those teams head to head. If you put them on the field today.
Is it a human vote or is it a computer?
It's a 13-person committee.
It's a 13-person committee vote.
That's how it's been.
And they all are impressionable. They all are subject to a small phone call with a dollar amount. Like who travels the best? Like you know what I'm saying? Like this is what we're dealing with is the electoral college of the BCS. Who is it? Who the 13 people? Do they want Bama? Because it's a small possibility Bama jumps over Ohio State again. Ohio State lost bad on national TV last week, and your senses are like, man, we didn't think Ohio State was that bad because they ran cover 0 the whole second half, and Michigan ran it down their throat, and they weren't playing no pass coverage. They just ran the ball down an 8-man front. So it's just small part of me think that they can.
But you also got to go to the first half too, Big AC. You know what they came out and started doing the first half? Ohio State started trying to play man. They played man. So they was clearly sold on the run game. So they played man all in the first half. And once Cornelius Johnson started beating, once the wide receiver starting to break that man-to-man coverage and get wide open for those 2 long touchdowns, I think that's what's kind of broke Ohio State and say, okay, we're going to start playing a little bit more coverage, like you said, in cover 2. Now that's when Michigan started picking apart the run game. But when they played man, when they started playing man, you got to give J.J. McCarthy some credit from standing in the pocket, making some big-time throws to the receivers. And now all of a sudden, you have Ohio State. Now that they're throwing the ball, now you're trying to play coverage on. Now here comes Donovan Wilson gashing up the field. So I think, like I say, they were banking on stopping the run early. They did that. But then again, you're in man coverage, 1-on-1 on an island. And Cornelius Johnson was able to win. And those receivers were able to win 1-on-1 coverage. And I think that's what put Ohio State really back. That's what make them hit that panic button. Okay, what do we do now? Do we still play the run? or do we still trust our cornerbacks to hold up? At that point in that second half, they didn't trust their cornerbacks to hold up. Now you start playing a little coverage. Now Donovan Wilson came into play and he gashed him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, welcome to the party, Martin. It looks like you finally got over that week-long hangover there, my friend.
Oh man, them Kings have you sleeping a little longer now. Oh man, them Kings got them sick and all that.
Man,
Mm-hmm.
it's rough on the side of town right now, guys. It's rough. It's rough right now. How y'all doing this morning?
Doing all
Hey.
right. Doing all right. We were just talking about the whole prospect of what happens if TCU does actually stumble today against Kansas State here in about
They
a
not.
couple hours.
They not. USC is who we thought they was. I wanted USC to win. Because I didn't want no changes. I wanted to see something totally different. But man, after I think I watched some of the game before me and Dante got on to do a play-by-play last night. USC started at the gate strong, but Utah was was relentless, man. Relentless. I mean, it was ridiculous. And they made sure they send a statement to them by scoring 40 points towards the end of the game. Like, hey, we own you for this year. So if Utah had 2 less losses, man, they could have been in there.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda, man. We on right now to the possibility of chaos at the BCS.
Here we go.
It's about to go down. What did you think about this scenario, Big Martin? TCU loses. And your favorite Crimson Tide.
I don't want them in there.
I knew you was gonna say that.
Hey, that what you telling me all night.
I hate them jokers.
Hey, Big A, hey, I'm telling you, when Utah lost that game, Martin, you can just see Martin reaction. You can just see Martin reaction immediately.
I'm sick in everything, and I was cutting up last night. I do not want Nick Saban in there at all, man.
He more afraid. Alabama ain't even his team, and he more afraid of that than he afraid of them Hurricanes.
I'm not even worried about them now. They about to get right. So, it was brutal for the Hurricanes this year. I mean, they was getting hit from every storm front. So, they about to get right though. But man, Nick Saban, no, I'm tired of seeing him. I'm just tired of seeing Nick Saban. I'm glad Dabo not there. I'm glad Nick Saban don't be there. TCU, I'm telling you, I'm going to be so into that game today. I might even be the 12th man for TCU today because I want them to win. I do not want to see Nick Saban in there. I mean, I knew Ohio State would have got in there back in there if USC lost. I'm kind of cool with that because I want to see them get put right back out the first game. So I want to see them go back home again. And if they the 4th seed and TCU loses, so you'll have a Michigan and TCU, and then you will have an Ohio State and Georgia, and Lord have mercy, made the wings of heaven shine on Ohio State because Georgia is going to eat them alive. they thought Michigan put it on them, boy. Then you know what they'll say. Well, maybe Ohio State shouldn't have been there. You know, they could have had Alabama. I mean, you got Tennessee still there, but Tennessee is behind Alabama because Tennessee got 2 losses too.
Mm-hmm.
So why Tennessee is not ahead of Alabama?
Because there ain't no Hendon Hooker.
Mm-hmm.
That is it.
Gotta sell tickets. You gotta sell tickets again. People got pocketbooks. People got cell phones. They get a little alert. You want that extra 2,000? You want that extra 200?
Let me ask y'all a question. I know Ian doesn't want Alabama because I saw the excitement on his face when I said it. Or y'all want Alabama being there? I just put the scenario, Big Martin.
It's a different story when Bama is coming from nowhere, not expected. And we said earlier, Nick Saban is underneath the cave, brewing up some Gargamel potion to make all this stuff happen. And they're gonna sneak up in there, and it's gonna end up being Nick Saban versus Kirby Smart in a national championship game. Teacher versus pupil, chaos, bro. Straight chaos, and all the Aflac commercials gonna be playing every other commercial is gonna be Nick Saban in your face. What you don't want to happen is about to happen. It ain't gonna be the parody we wanted. It's gonna be Georgia Bama once again.
No.
So, like I was saying, I'm like I say, I want to see a different team every single year. I will, like I say, if Bama doesn't get in, I wouldn't be upset. But like me and Big A said last week, we love chaos, and I'm trying to see what the committee is gonna do this time. I'm gonna see if TCU loses, which is I do got an upset on TCU's book right here, but if TCU loses, I just want to see what the committee how the committee gonna elf things up this time. But I don't think they're gonna do it. It's gonna be obvious. I think Bama and Ohio State definitely gets in, but I just love chaos in college football. I just love chaos.
Well, I'm going against the grain. They ain't getting in.
That ain't against the grain. That's how it's supposed to go. They got 2 losses. They should not be in.
They're not getting it. They're not getting it. TCU is not folding. TCU probably watched what happened to USC last night, and they probably said, "Nah."
No, they said that's what's gonna happen to us. That's gonna happen to us.
Nah, TCU, but Duggan and the Horn Frogs about to hop on up in there, baby.
All I gotta say is they're this year's Cincinnati squad.
Yep, I'm telling you.
So, granted, they might not last long, but I think one other thing to kind of bring it back full circle here is we were all worried about, in the event, obviously with the USC losing, say that TCU does win, who would jump into that 4. I think it actually said a lot that they kept Ohio State ahead of Alabama, even though they did get dropped at home by 22. To me, it just shows that they do trust Ohio State more. So, in the event that TCU does lose, say they fall, it would not surprise me if we see Georgia versus Bama, and then we re-see Michigan, Ohio State, and those 2 games get you to the national championship. So, just things to consider there. So, I mean, does anybody have
Okay, hold on. I got another scenario.
Sure.
What if LSU beats Georgia today?
Then Michigan goes to 1 and Georgia drops to 3.
Yep. I think Georgia's the only one safe. If they take a loss, they're the only one safe. They're not moving out.
Okay, and then, with that being said, what if TCU does lose? What that does for LSU?
I don't think it helps LSU. I think it just benefits off. I don't think it helps LSU. And LSU got 3 L's. 3 losses. They got 3.
But I mean, wouldn't it? They will have 3 losses, but they win the SEC championship game, and they still beat Alabama. I mean, that's a lot right there. You gotta. I mean, you have to really, really look into considering what LSU has done. You know what I'm saying? Not just to throw Alabama in there just because it's Nick Saban. I ain't buying that. I mean, if a team win the SEC title and they already beat Alabama, that should be enough for. I mean, when the playoffs start in the next a year from now, we're gonna have probably 3-loss teams in the playoff.
No, we ain't.
So
knock it off, Martin. No, we ain't.
Well, here's the thing.
It's a possibility.
2024, we're guaranteed to have at least 1 3-team playoff in there because we officially expanded to 12. Yes. They're going to take the 6 conference champions and then the next 6 best. The group of 5 champ more than likely going to have that number 3 behind them.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen. But, I mean, for it to happen right now, you're asking LSU to jump 10 spots if they do beat Georgia. And you still got to jump Alabama, Tennessee, Penn State. You got to
jump Penn State.
You still have to jump Clemson.
How many losses Penn State has right now?
2. They lost to Michigan. They lost to
And
Yeah.
Ohio
Michigan
State.
and Ohio
Ohio
State.
State.
The best teams in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I just think it would be a big reach if they were to do that. And I think the committee would have to answer to a lot of people. But at the same time, the committee can legitimately do whatever the heck they feel like, and we cannot do anything about it. I mean,
Hey,
they could.
man.
I mean, they could throw in Georgia, LSU, and Bama and Michigan if they absolutely wanted to.
Sure
If things
could.
went absolutely off the wall. Now, granted, I would hope that they had a little more integrity than that, and I trust that they do. But I mean, at this
Talking
point,
about.
it's a 13-person committee. If they wanted it, they could have it. Although I'm
Hey,
still trying to figure out why AC wrapping up over here.
I got boxing class in about 20 minutes, man. I'm gonna have to tip out.
Oh,
Yeah, we canceled our class last night. My son's taking boxing, trying to get his hands right for football season. So I'm in there, the old man getting his head whooped in the boxing class, and I got these short hand wraps. I'm like, I got to figure something out so I don't break my knuckles, man. So I'm multitasking, bro. I'm preparing for the chaos. I'm preparing for the chaos just in case it happened and get the $2 bet. All y'all owe me $2 for something.
AC over
You
here
gonna be
acting like
you,
Alabama and they puncher's chance.
A puncher's chance. A
Nope.
puncher's chance, baby.
Mm-mm.
Don't mind me.
Alabama gonna get hit in the mouth just like that guy got hit in that game last night and his helmet fly off.
That's called
Yeah,
decapitation. That's called finish.
Cameron Rising got decapitated. That's what's gonna happen to Alabama when they gonna think they be close to the cuff and no cigar for Nick Saban.
$2 bet. Nick Saban gets in.
Shoot, CR Media coming through saying AC about to serve that 3-piece with a cold soda.
Yeah.
Killing it over there. So obviously, AC, you're bringing it up that this one probably should have been a little bit closer to prime time, and I agree because at the exact same time they're going with the MAC championship between Toledo and Ohio, and I'm just sitting here like, really? I feel bad for them because they ain't gonna have nobody watching them except for
Nope.
those in Toledo and Ohio, even though they both in Ohio. So, but obviously, I hope that they do well, and then I mean. I think the Coastal Carolina Troy game, I think that one could get interesting too. But I don't really know much
If you
on
ain't
either of them.
if you don't live down the street or you ain't an alumni, you ain't watching near one of them games. I think they dropping the ball. I think they really should have thought about this programming. Ain't nobody trying to see them games.
Yeah.
It's like a small like the Tostitos Booger Bowl. Like ain't nobody trying to see them games. Man.
Yeah, but for me, like, I get it. Somebody had to go, but I also see why they put one of the games in the 10 a.m. slot, because then this way you can literally just go channel to channel to channel, and then this way you're watching a legitimate, playoff implication game throughout the entire day, because 2 o'clock, we get the SEC championship with LSU and Georgia, and I know I had it in the ticker earlier, but Jaden Daniels is officially a go for LSU today. I don't know how much that's going to change anything because if I've seen the line, it's still Georgia by 18. And I know, Martin, I know you were saying, what if LSU does the impossible? So I'll start here with you. Do they pull the impossible here? And what would it take to pull the impossible here?
I'm listening to this one, Jack.
Oh, man.
You bet not.
You
bet not. You bet not say. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Boxing Guy, but I just feel like if LSU was to pull up this upset, I think they have a legitimate chance to in the final poll to jump Alabama. And I know that's saying a lot because one got 3 losses, one got 2, but I'm just saying that if a team go out there, say for instance, and they beat Georgia, is going to be safe no matter what because they're going to want Georgia right back in there. And so, but that'd be crazy. I know that's a crazy scenario. I'm gonna get that out of my head because, I just think that the committee should really look at what LSU has done. Yeah, you gotta think LSU wasn't a strong case or candidate for anything the beginning of the season, but then they did call on towards the end, and then they went and upset Alabama, which Alabama didn't even look like Alabama all season long, until that game against Auburn they played. So I mean, they really have to look at it, because you got to think LSU would be a number one team. What Alabama was what at the time when LSU beat them? What was Alabama ranked when LSU beat them? Anybody?
At least top 3. Like,
Yeah, so there was a top 3, and they beat a number 1 and win the SEC championship. I mean, that ought to vie for something. I mean, but
just a better bowl game. They're not gonna sneak up in there, Big Martin. Right now they playing spoiler, man. All they can do is make more chaos, and we love chaos, but I don't think it's gonna make them get back into BCS.
Well, and that's go back to my point. I don't want to see TCU lose, because then it won't help LSU case, because LSU will have. They'll probably have a pretty good argument,
They're not getting it, man.
So, but I don't see, I don't see TCU losing. I don't see K-State. K-State had their best game when they played last week against Kansas. I don't see TCU. Everybody kept saying, well, TCU barely got by. They barely got by. But that's just the nature of the games. You win close games. If you can win blowout games, you can win close games. And I just think TCU has another close game in them, and they'll win today, and they'll go on. And then we don't have to hear nothing about Nick Saban. We don't have to hear nothing about Affleck. We don't have to see him and Dion in commercials.
Hey, to be fair, I still want to see Dion because he's here in Colorado now. So I'm cool with seeing more Prime, baby.
More Prime.
I'm still shocked about that.
Don't be shocked. Don't be shocked. It's a business.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, but all I'm gonna say on this one, LSU didn't help their case at all, because they got beat by A&M, a team that's 4-7. They got beat by A&M, so they didn't help their case at all. You can't recover after that, after getting beat like that. And like I said, I just, at the end of the day, I'm going. I don't think LSU pulls this off. Jaden Daniels going to really have to make some throws, which is, I think it's going to be hard to run the ball against Georgia. You got the big boy Carter Impinal, who's a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. You got the best secondary in the nation, Achille Ringo. You got Ringo at the cornerback spot. I mean, it's just too much for LSU to going to be able to handle. Then you got to deal with the Georgia offensive line. You got to deal with the running back committee with Kenny McIntosh and all of those guys, man. I think it's going to be too much for LSU. And LSU does have trouble scoring the football, so it will be some trouble scoring against that Georgia's defense. I think Georgia's gonna pull this off. Due to that running game and that defense, I don't know how LSU is gonna score the ball. I don't know. And Butte is having a tough year. He's had a terrible, awful year this year.
He ain't gonna get his Butte taken today.
Oh man, you line up against you in press. Give me that booty. Give me that. Get that booty.
But I mean, I'm sticking with my pick. I mean, I rose Cincinnati all last year. People thought I was crazy for it. They were like, no. I'm riding TCU. I'm riding TCU because I definitely do want to see TCU and Michigan match up in that 2 and 3 spot. I think that's going to be a very intriguing game. And then see Chrome out. He's not playing. He's out for the season. He's having knee surgery. And then having Ohio State face Georgia, where Georgia could just eviscerate them off the planet real quick. So, but it's Georgia championship to win. I already picked Georgia to win it all anyway, because they just the strongest team. They've been the strongest team all season. When people say, well, they not playing, they just play within themselves. They don't allow themselves to get out of character or the moment get too high. So with that being said, it don't matter who gets in there, Georgia's still gonna beat everybody, regardless. I mean, I mean, let's say sell out. Say for Alabama did went there and got back in there, and Kirby Smart just folded to Alabama, I will be very, very highly upset, and I don't see that happening. So, AC, I know you got boxing going. I know you got that $2 bet floating around in the chat and everything. But my man, I really don't want Alabama up there. I'm tired of them. I'm fatigued from them. You know, it's just that. And it's gonna be more chaotic next year because that's gonna be the last season of the Final Four. So teams gonna really try to be jockeying to get in there just to say, hey, we finished in the top four. So, but it's a possibility. USC did it. They started this conversation. If they had whole serve last night, it probably wouldn't. We wouldn't even worry about it. TCU just had to go out there and handle business, which I think they will today.
Bruh, I'm gonna have to get out of here, but I can't let you get out of here. You use a new word on Sports Talk. You said viscerate.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say they viscerate?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever used that word to describe how a team beat another team. Kudos to you, my brother. I love y'all, man. I got to get up out of here. Big N, Big Coach, Big Martin, Luther the Cane. Right. I appreciate y'all, man. Keep the good work going, man. We're going to hit this bag and see if I can get these hands right, man. Big Dawgs.
All right, AC, campus, man. Be safe out there, man. God
all right,
bless
man.
You.
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll see you in a little while, man. All right.
And there was 3.
Yep, and then there was 3. 2 from the beginning and 1 late straggler.
But you see how AC disappeared? That's how it's gonna be for Alabama. They're gonna be disappeared. No playoff, playoff for them today. I'm telling you, I'm pulling out everything: rabbit foot, Lucky Charms, 4-leaf clovers, everything. I do not want to see Alabama. I'm good with Georgia because this is Georgia run now. This is their run. You know what I'm saying? You think even though I'm an ACC guy, you don't think I'm happy Clemson not there? Of course. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy they're not there. They've been Alabama and Clemson have been there the longest out of everybody. So it's time for some new change. And honestly, man, I'm gonna tell you, 2024 is going to be one of the most exciting years because that 12 playoff slot hits. You're going to see teams really going after it. And I had a conversation with somebody at work that's a Clemson fan, and we was talking about how the ACC is going into next season with no conference championship. You have to finish at least 1 or 2 to even make it in there. You know what I'm saying? So me personally, I felt that would help Miami a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? Once they start getting themselves, everything rolling. There's a lot of things going on with Miami right now that's looking really, really good. So I think not next year, but the year after that, I think they'll be in a position to finally make the playoffs in some form or fashion. Clemson, I think you might see Florida State in one of those playoffs next year. The way if they play like they did this year, teams that have one of these good years and then kind of like taper back. You can see Utah. I can see Utah making it next year. And then Deion's first year in Colorado, just as long as he don't partake, you know what I'm saying, he'd be fine. It's free over there, no taxes.
It free, it legal. We know that he could get his.
Yeah, so I just feel like there's gonna be a lot of stuff happening. It's gonna be a lot because, like, I was telling Dante last night that I looked at that the playoff 12-team playoff model they put out, and they had Utah playing Alabama, and for a fact I would have loved that. So yeah.
Oh yeah, no, especially with that 12-team playoff, it just all the different matchups that we could get because the top 4 would obviously get the first bye. So I think it'd be interesting to see how that goes. But I mean, the one team that will still get a New Year's 6, it's going to be Tulane or UCF this year.
Yeah.
being that group of 5 rep. And I mean, they're getting ready to go head to head at the same time LSU Georgia is. Now, again, I know we all get to be on that game, but I mean, to see Tulane come up from where they've been, sitting at 1-11, 2-10, and now they're here at 10-2. I mean, that's probably that honestly is probably my favorite story of the year. Just seeing how much of a come up that they have had.
I agree.
So, I mean, it's nice, and it'd be really interesting to see because they would be the 12 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So take Tulane against Ohio State. We would never see that in January.
Yeah.
We ain't never
Right.
gonna see it.
Hey, you see, hey, imagine that happen. You see that beat down from a mile away, huh? You see that whooping from a mile away, huh?
Either that, or
The-
I mean, we could get something like college basketball, and we finally get a true Cinderella story. They got to
Yeah.
capitalize on something.
Yeah, they I'm watching game day now. Bo Corrigan, the college football selection committee chair, he's talking about it. Now I can't hear it because I don't have the volume up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. No, you've got that on. I keep clicking into the World Cup on my other browser because Team USA kicked off at the top of the hour, and so far we doing okay. So, oh wait, no, we are not doing okay. We are not doing okay because the Netherlands just scored. So, Team USA, get it together, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, no, Tulane, they are favored by 4 going against UCF. At the same time, UCF is actually one of the only teams to beat Tulane this year. And John Reese Plumlee, the quarterback from Alabama, he's been leading the UCF charge there. But Tulane's favored by 4. I don't know if y'all got any betting interest in it, but I think that one could actually be a pretty sneaky good conference championship game later today.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably pull it up on my tablet or something to watch it while I'm watching the Georgia game. I definitely my interest really is into that TCU game. I really want to see TCU pull this out. I don't want to see anything. Just want this year to be drama free. And I rooted hard for USC, but man, Utah just dogged them out last night. Good grief! I was like,
hey, that UCF team is pretty good too, man. That UCF team is really pretty good. They're a pretty good team. I remember I had a game on them earlier this year when they played Louisville. That quarterback John Rice Plumlee is pretty solid. So yeah, I'm pulling for UCF in that game, man, to win that game. I really like UCF. I really like how that team is built.
Let me ask y'all a question. Now that Deion is heading to Colorado, what you think his impact gonna be? Since Colorado in the Pac, right? They in the Pac-12.
Yep.
Yeah, they're in the Pac-12.
What you think?
Culture changing hire. That's really what it is. It's one of those. Colorado, we've been waiting for so long to have legitimacy back ever since the 90s, and for the first time in probably my lifetime, we feel like we legitimately have a coach that could take us somewhere. We've made a couple good runs when we had like Philip Lindsay in our backfield. We had that one year where we went like 10-2, and then we got met by Washington when they made the Final Four.
Yeah.
But besides that couple of years, it's just been so chaotic since the 90s, and it's just nice to finally have a coach who brings stability, who brings credibility, and is going to instantly earn everybody's respect as soon as the players get in the room. So, I mean, we may not win the Pac-12 because Utah will always be a problem, but I think we're going to have a lot better showing than what we've shown these last few seasons.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be competitive because Deion, he might not. His first season is going to be probably a little. I won't say it's going to be a little rough, but I think by the time that second season, man, can you imagine Deion getting into the college playoff his second year? Oh my gosh, what a storyline would that be?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be here for it.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you, if that was to happen and Cristobal down in Miami don't make a significant jump, oh boy, it's gonna be so many hairs raising, crying, complaining. on Cristobal if he does not get Miami right where they supposed to be, because it's going to look bad. Saying that, well, Deion in his second year he got Colorado into the playoff. Cristobal will be going on his third year by that time. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be I'm telling you, you talk about crazy times for coaches. Whew,
Yeah.
the pressure has never been real.
But I mean, just looking at next year's Colorado schedule, they open with TCU.
They open up with TCU.
Coming right up out of the gate, playing the big dogs, man. I like them coming up out of the gate. Out of the gate.
Yep, they open with TCU, and then they're home to play Nebraska, where Matt Rule just took over. So I mean, if you wanted primetime games right out the gate, you got it. And then, as the season goes on, it's really weird to look at because Colorado's last 4 games next season are all on the road.
Ooh.
Yeah, there's no November football in Colorado next season. It's at Oregon, at UCLA, at Utah, and then we end at Washington State. So, be interesting to see how that works out for Deion. But I mean, you want to talk about TCU being this year's Cincinnati? I don't know if they'd go. I don't know how much of their team they're keeping, but that's a statement for your first game at the big time level.
Yep.
And me personally, I think some of these teams, if they want to really make it into the college playoff after this year, they're gonna have to start scheduling some tougher opponents. Some guys that really, some teams that they really need. See, right now they putting it on the board. They have the first round will be Tennessee, Penn State, USC and Tulane, Utah, Ohio State, Alabama, K-State, and then Michigan, Clemson. They said Michigan, Clemson, and Georgia will have a bye. I don't know.
So
how.
you have
conference
Georgia,
champ.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All them conference champions.
Yep, the 4 highest conference champions would get first round buys. So USC screwed that up, and that's how Clemson would be in that 4 spot.
Exactly.
So, but man, it's fun looking at it because I am so ready for it myself.
Well, yeah.
So
it's about to be dangerous. Finally, I don't know. I'm excited because finally you get a real playoff. A real playoff. Just 4 just never did it for me. I know cool. Sad day for HBCU football.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it because, here's the thing. He did bring HBCUs back on the map, but it can't be all on him to keep everybody relevant. There has to be more, and I get where he's come from saying, it is a sad day, but at the same time, for his coaching career, it's a good day. He's getting a Power 5 job. I'm not going to be mad at somebody getting a better job. I'm not one to mess with the man's money, and I understand what he meant to the HBCU community, but again, it cannot be a one-man show for that. It just cannot be.
And also, I want to touch on that too because Deion been there 3 years. You would think some of them coaches would learn something from Deion and say, well, hey, if Deion was a lead, how can we carry it in the same fashion that Deion had, what he brought to it? Like Eddie Robinson Jr., him and Deion didn't get along, but you should be like, what, Deion gone, let's continue to do this, let's continue to do that. And I'm sure Deion, the coaching staff that he has with him, I'm sure he's gonna probably take them with him there and everything like that. So yeah, it's me personally. I'm looking forward to seeing what Deion can do. I'm excited for him. I didn't want him to leave so early because I think having him there 5 years would have really did a lot. But sometimes when you have a calling, you have to go for it, man.
Yeah, you really do. And I know a lot of people were expecting him to wait for the FSU job or, potentially take the USF job. But the way I see it, USF, they're in such disarray down there. I mean, and I get it, you'd still be right where all the recruits are, but there just isn't the same support as you would at Colorado.
Yeah,
There really
I
is.
agree. I agree.
So, but then, I mean, from here, it's the nightcap, and it's Purdue and Michigan. I mean,
It,
does any weird? I mean, in a day full of chaos yesterday, do we just say, okay, let's add some more chaos and have Michigan lose as well? Just have everybody in the
man,
top four lose and implode the system, force them to make a 12.
you know what? That will be crazy if Georgia, Michigan,
And TCU.
TCU loses. Oh my God, you talking about, man, you talking about craziness. They probably, I think the committee will say we playing 12 today. We starting it right now. 12. We starting 12 right now, and because that will be too much. That will be really too much because they will never expect it. And I'm sure, hopefully, somebody in that committee room has sat down and said, "Well, hey, what would happen if this was to happen? You know, should we? You know, we could just go ahead and have a 12 and just say make an announcement say we having a 12 playoffs right now. I mean, if they really wanted to, they could really just start the 12 next year. You know, because it's not that. To me, I don't think it's that hard to migrate it in for next year. I think they still under contract for next year, you know. So I mean, but you know how this stuff works. If you really want to get out of a contract, there's ways to get out of a contract. So
yeah.
So, but yeah, that would be devastating if all top teams lost today in the championship game.
I mean, the way I see it, it's not impossible. Extremely improbable, but not impossible. So, but I mean, just kind of looking at it right now, I mean, looking at what Michigan did to Ohio State, even without Blake Corum, and obviously it's a little bit of a hit with him going down with his knee injury, they still put up over 270 on the ground against Ohio State. And I'm supposed to sit here and believe that Purdue, and I know Purdue likes causing havoc, but is Purdue really going to be ready to stop this Michigan run game?
Yeah.
No, I don't think they're gonna stop this Michigan run game. I think this Michigan defense is gonna actually be good against Purdue. I like this defense, Michigan defense. That defense started making CJ Stroud uncomfortable last weekend. And like we broke down the game plan earlier. What was the game plan coming in for Ohio State? Stop the run early. They were doing that. They played man-to-man coverage on the outside. They could not stop Cornelius Johnson and the wide receiver. So now that puts so now all of a sudden Ohio State had to go to plan B and say, hey, now we're going to start playing coverage ball. And once that defense was worn out and getting back on the field, now the run game opening up with Donovan Wilson running rough shots. So in the day, you just got to give JJ McCarthy some credit for making those throws as well. And running K McNamara to running him out of Michigan and running him to Iowa. So at the end of the day, you got to give Michigan credit. And I don't see them winning this game. I really don't see Purdue winning this game. I think the defense will be too much, and I think the running game will be too. I think that running game will be too much, and I think JJ McCarthy with his playmaking ability, when his running ability, able to move out the pocket, and he did that last week very well, moving out of the pocket, make some things happen with his legs. I think that would be too much actually for Purdue.
So K McNamara going to Iowa?
Yep.
He's going to Iowa.
And guess what? I was looking at Josh Gaddis.
Interesting developments.
Yep. Because my guy Alex Dono for Lockdown Canes, he did a video on it, and when he was talking about it, and I said, and when they said Cade McNamara was transferring, and they was thinking, because what they was thinking was that they didn't know if Tyler Van Dyke or Jay Garcia was returning back to Miami, and then if Cade was in the portal, Miami, if Gaddis was still staying at Miami, he would have pulled Cade there because Cade knew his system and he played in it. So now it's fitting to link the two together over there. So if Gaddis leaves to go to Iowa, then you already know the reason why, because of K McNamara.
Mm-hmm.
And then that and now it raises a lot of questions because Tyler Van Dyke and Jake Garcia are returning back to Miami. So that's very intriguing because maybe they have an offensive coordinator lined up that could bring out the potential of these two guys. So there you have it.
Yeah. Yeah. And just for kicks and giggles, I went on to a FanDuel just to see how much chaos it would cause if K State won, LSU won, and Purdue won today. You put down $100 right now, you would win $9,683
Damn.
if that all hit
Shoot.
perfectly. And that's just straight
Mm-mm.
up winning. That's not even covering spreads or nothing. So I don't know.
Wow.
I mean,
That's
part of me wants chaos, but it's just too far fetched for me to see it
mm,
all go down like
yeah.
that. I
Yep.
think even with this game, I know that Purdue, they do like causing their issues, especially with Ohio State, because I know that they've been a thorn in their side. We've seen what they've been able to do in the past, but this isn't the teams of the past. I
Uh
mean, go ahead.
oh, check this out. My Ohio State wide receiver Brandon Emmis, the 5-star. He's already looking to go sign with Dion over there in Colorado.
Hey,
Decommitting from Ohio State.
Yep.
Wow.
hey, I'm telling you, Dion is gonna bring
Wow.
guys up in there, man. Hey, man, you all damn near had a Alabama defensive lineman decommitted from Alabama and going to Jackson State. So hey,
Mm-hmm.
Dion is gonna be able to get some of them 5 stars, take some of them 5 stars away from the Alabamas and
Mm-hmm.
all of them. He's gonna be able to get them, especially them D linemen. He's gonna be able to get them. I'm telling you, he's gonna get them. And you seeing it now.
Yeah.
You seeing it now. He's getting them.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm about to go put a futures bet out there and say that Colorado wins the Pac 12 at this rate.
Oh, I'm gonna tell you, if man, look at here. I won't be surprised if they do their first year. It won't be surprised. I'm telling you, Dion, he's an enigma, man. He's something special. He's like something we never seen. Like, we already know what kind of football player, baseball player he was. I watched it. I used to love watching him on NFL Network because his logic of thinking and how he breaks stuff down. There ain't too many people in the game that could really do that type of stuff. So, and when he went to Jackson State and the way he turned that program around in 3 years, I mean, and then he left them undefeated for this year, undefeated season. I mean, it's not far fetched what he could do for Colorado. And just imagine the what, say in 3 years he gets Colorado in the top 25, maybe he hits the playoff. Get them in the playoff in one of his first 3 years. You just imagine these big name colleges gonna want him. Can you imagine if he does this in 3 years and Mike Norvell doesn't do anything at Florida State and they try to get rid of him? Oh my gosh. And Dion comes home to Florida State, man. I'm telling you, I ain't gonna lie, I'm a Miami fan, but I'm gonna be a Dion. I love Dion though. I like him. I always did. He's like one of my favorite players. You know, I didn't follow him in college, but I followed him through the NFL. So kudos to him for doing big things. I'm glad he's putting his stamp on college football because college football need that excitement, another name to bring excitement to what's going on. Can you imagine him and Nick Saban going head to head in the regular season? Ooh, Colorado and Bama, man, them Buffaloes. Ooh.
Shoot, I trust a buffalo over an elephant right now. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Nick and the thing, and one of the guys at work, he a Clemson guy I was telling you about. He was saying that he said that Dabo gonna have to change with the times, especially when it comes to the transfer portal and the NIL. And I told him, I said, if he doesn't, he said, well, then it'll be time to get rid of Dabo. I said, man, let me tell you, I said, Dabo ain't going nowhere unless they start having like 2 consecutive losing seasons. And I don't see that. As long as they win in 10 plus games every year, Dabo is not going to be there. Yeah, the goal is to win a national championship. Now they have a better chance to get in the playoff because the playoffs are set up for 12 teams now. So that's easy for them. So there's no chance for them to miss the playoffs. Now, again, put out the playoffs is a whole different thing. So,
Mhm.
but I'm definitely gonna be rooting for Deion in Colorado. And now I got to follow Deion all over everywhere he go. So,
Yeah.
but it's gonna be good.
Yeah. I guess my only fear being a Colorado fan is, like you said, Mike Norvell, things just fall through at FSU, and
Mhm.
that homecoming just feels too sweet. Because here's the thing, Colorado, we have the ability, we will pay whoever we need to. You know, if it's a little bit more money, especially if we have success, I know the CU boosters will sit there and be like, okay, we'll give you 10, we give
Mhm.
you 11, we give you 12 to keep you there. But I mean, again, like you said, just the fact that he could go home to Florida State, it's going to be hard. But I
Yeah.
think Cole brings up a good point in saying that Colorado about to be the new DBU.
Mhm.
It ain't about to be LSU or Bama
Mhm.
or whatever university. It might be Georgia right now. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. I don't know, but it looks like Dante got something going on in that head. I saw him bobbing with it. So what you got, bro?
Because I agree with Cool Kate. I agree with Cool Kate. I'm telling y'all, man, Dion about to get them 5 stars coming in now. Hey, you already seen he getting the receiver, and like Big A brought something up earlier. Travis Hunter, who can play anywhere. He can play wide receiver. He plays
Mhm.
DB right now. Hey, hey, that's on the upside. Colorado for to come up on the upside. They fit come up on the
Mhm.
upside, so you better watch out for them. And Deion Sanders can get the kids and the recruits coming in, and it's going to be a lot of 5 stars buying into what Deion wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and all they gotta do is just look at his track record right there. Prime will go back to. Oh yeah, definitely he will go back to FSU. It's just a matter of time, because like they settle. FSU is settled with Norvell right now, but just watch what happens in the next couple of years, and if Florida State doesn't get where they need to go, get what need to go.
Yeah. It's gonna hurt when he does, but hey,
Hmm.
the way I see it, I gotta appreciate the time that he is here.
Yeah.
So,
Well, his time starts now.
well, it starts officially on Sunday
Uh-oh.
because until he finishes out that SWAC championship,
Yeah.
he's still very much in the hands of Jackson State there. But just wanted to look into the future a little bit here. It looks like a couple of the bowl games have already been announced.
Mm.
As far as who's there. The first one was pretty easy to lock up. It's Miami, Ohio, and UAB going down to play in the Bahamas on the 16th. So honestly, if you not in the college football playoff, that'd probably be the one bowl I want to go to because
Mhm.
I'm guaranteed to go chill on a beach.
Yep.
I play 500 ball, and you send me out of the country to go play ball. Say less. I'm gonna go enjoy my Christmas.
Yeah, that bowl was named since last week, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Yep, that one was. And then I saw something earlier saying Cincinnati and Louisville might do the Fenway Bowl, but I haven't seen anything confirmed on that.
Yep.
But the one other confirmed bowl is the Hawaii Bowl. And again, I don't know what it is about the Tropic Bowls, but they're figuring it out. That one's going to be I can talk. Middle Tennessee State. Yeah, sorry to bring that name back up, Martin. Against
Mm.
San Diego State.
Oh man,
Yeah.
you know about Middle Tennessee State, right? You know
Who,
about that.
who who's that? Who's that
Oh,
again?
oh, okay, they beat you so bad you don't even remember who they
Oh, I got,
played.
I
You don't
got, I
remember
got,
the
I
team.
got amnesia. Hey man, that's all right. That's all right. I'm just. Oh, just a side note.
Hmm.
Dante, when we was doing the play-by-play, I don't know what's going on with the Bulls, but Zach and Billy Donovan ain't getting along. Zach has been taking shots at Billy Donovan about his coaching style.
Oh, I told you, hey, that ain't nothing new.
He said that starting lineup that they had, cool said mine is playing for the no Bono Bowl on
Cool say-
ESPN 8, the
The
Ocho.
Ocho.
And you know what's funny? And Cool is a Miami fan, and it's funny though, but yeah, oh my
Hey,
god,
Cool, a Hurricane fan?
yeah.
Oh, cool. Oh, man.
Cool said Miami playing for the no Bono. Hey man, that's why I'm staying locked in what we doing with these recruits and everything. I really think it's something special brewing. I just want us to improve. Somebody asked me, what do I expect from Miami next year? I say, to be competitive, be over, be bowl eligible. That's it. Anything else will be a plus. I'm not talking no championship, no conference championship, nothing. I just want them to be bowl eligible, improve, and get better. That's it. If they could do those things for me, I'm happy. I'm not going all on a limb to say, "Oh, we back" and all of that stuff. No, I ain't doing all of that. I let that for the media and them psychotic fans that respect too much. The fair weather fans. That's why I call them, because you get a great hire in Mario. Then when things don't go right, you wanna talk and down him and ready to get rid of him. You ain't got nobody else to bring in. And the thing about it is, Mario had each year, every way he went, he didn't have a good season his first year. You know what I'm saying? So it takes time for some coaches, and yeah, some places do get a turnaround quickly, but that you can't compare that to what the philosophy of another coach does, because they're totally different. Because what Jimbo went to Texas A&M, he ain't turned it around that fast. It took him a minute too.
And then it fell right back down too.
It crashed down. But
yeah,
I mean, and then everybody looking at Oregon, said, well, Oregon's still competitive, but there's still Mario people over there. I mean, you got to understand that, like when Kirby took over for Mark Richt, he still had Mark Richt people until he's finally transitioned in it. That's just like a Nick Saban leave and say Dante took over for Nick Saban. He started having success. Everybody said, "Oh, he a great coach," but then 3 years after all of Nick Saban people finally leave, and he got to bring his own people, and then that's when you really look at it. So that's why I say with Mario in Miami, we had not Mario, but Manny Diaz people in there. Now that he's trying to get rid of some of the people, having some of them transfer out, give them a chance to go somewhere else to be successful, and start locking in on his own people, then you'll start seeing the progress. And then within 3 years, after progress they did, then you got a question to say, well, hey, is this the right hire? You know what I'm saying? And then you got to look somewhere else.
Yeah, definitely. And another way to look at that whole situation is, perfect example of that is Ohio State. We had all the Urban Meyer guys, all of his recruits and everything. Took it about 4 years to clean them out. And now look what we see. Michigan owns Ryan Day. So,
yep.
Now, granted, I'll still give them their flowers because they are still a great team no matter what. But, especially when it comes to Michigan, Ohio State, that contract leans more on that one game than it does on anything else. So, I don't know. That one might be a hot seat. But another thing that I was looking at here, and I think it's only because the NFL, they play on Sundays, but it's going to be so weird seeing the Rose Bowl game on the second and not the first.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because I don't know about that. Like, I get it. You're trying to stay out of the NFL's way, but there's also tradition. And I still think more people would show up to the Rose Bowl game than to a Rams game or a Chargers game right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. The Rose Bowl, I mean,
more people be watching the Rose Bowl, I'm telling you. They'll be watching the Rose Bowl instead of watching the goddamn Rams on the field.
Yeah, I know I'll be watching the Rose Bowl instead of
So who we got in the Rose Bowl? Penn and Utah, right?
So right now Utah would be in.
Okay.
It's just now a matter of what happens with the college championships today.
Okay.
But with USC losing, it all really depends on if Ohio State gets that 4 spot.
Okay.
Which we are assuming they will. But if that happens, it would go to the next highest, and from there it would go to Penn State.
Yeah.
Now, if for some reason Ohio State misses because, like AC was saying, that SEC gumbo that Nick Saban be stirring up, then at that point it would be Ohio State that goes.
So there'll be a rematch in the Rose Bowl from last year. Okay.
Yep. So, but yeah, no, I'm trying to see if any more bowls have been announced, but it really is those two and then the one rumor. But I was gonna say, I know we're gonna go over it more next Saturday because we'll
Mhm.
finally
Yeah.
have everybody locked in. Because the first bowl game is on December 17th,
Mm.
and the one game next week, which personally I watch every year, no matter how good they are or how bad they are. It's the Army Navy game.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know how you don't watch that. And I mean, I get it because, it's not college football playoffs, it's not conference championship weekend, but
Yeah.
I think it's really cool that they always give that game its own spot just
Yeah.
for the
Exactly.
pageantry that it is.
Yeah.
So, and right now, I think they have Army minus 1.5. And yeah, they are playing it in Philly again. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, do you guys have any bowl predictions right now? We
Uh.
still got about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Uh,
Uh. Go ahead, Mark.
no,
Give me yours.
you go ahead.
All
I
right.
gotta think. I gotta think on it.
Well, like I said, I don't have a bowl. Well, matter of fact, I do. I got one.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with North Carolina beating Clemson today
Ooh.
in the ACC championship game. I'm going to go with North Carolina beating Clemson. I know North Carolina lost their last two against NC State, the game that
Mhm.
they really that they should have won that they should have won that game. They lost to Georgia Tech at home in embarrassing fashion in embarrassing fashion as well. But Clemson is not playing too well. They lost to they lost at home by 1 point to Spencer Rattler in the South Carolina Gamecocks. So I'm going to actually take the North Carolina Tar Heels to beat the Clemson Tigers today. But it wouldn't be surprised if the Clemson Tigers win this game. But I am going to take Mac Brown, the coach that got me a national championship with Vince Young at Texas. So I'm going to take him against Dabo Sweeney in the ACC conference game, so championship game. So that's a bold prediction for me.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, it's bad when South Carolina storms your field
Yep, yep.
after a one
Mm.
point win.
And all them
They
drop
storm your
picks
field.
you got on the team too. You got you got Murphy, you got Miles Murphy, you got Brian Brees on that team as
Mhm.
well. You got them top tier them top tier defensive linemen. You got top 10
Yeah.
that's going to be in the draft this year, at least picked in the top 10, the top 15 this year. And you got a corner, I believe, that's going to be in the NFL draft. But the one thing about Clemson that I don't Clemson DJ is not that good of a quarterback. He's not that good of a quarterback. He's a average. He's not that good of a quarterback. He has not performed how
No.
everybody think he was going to perform. So he's not really good. So that's the one thing that's kind of holding him back. I know they got this quarterback from Austin Westlake, Cade Klubnik, right behind him. You may have to consider a quarterback competition going into next year, to be honest.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that Clemson North Carolina game is going to be a toss up for me. I want to see how Clemson responds after losing to South Carolina last week. Can they rebound? I know North Carolina hasn't been playing great either. I'm just not sold on Drake May. I'm not sold on him.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I just don't think he's that guy everybody's trying to make him out to be. He's not. I keep forgetting the dude, the quarterback that we got on the Commanders. We drafted him.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
I keep getting lost in the train of thought every time I talk about him. Oh my gosh. Anyway, but I think he was better than Drake May, and I just think that Drake May, can North Carolina beat them? Can they put up points? Yeah, I think they can put up points, especially through the air, because that's what
Mhm.
Clemson's weak at. You're not don't try. I mean, if you loosen them up through the air by passing on them, then you have success running. Drake May is not as mobile, but he can't hurt you now. He's sneaky quick. He is sneaky quick. He's one of them guys you don't expect to run, but will run on you type of guy. Um,
Mhm.
but with Clemson defense, I still think that's still a catalyst for them. Like you said, Dante, DJ he's the X factor because he turns the ball over a lot. Even when they beat Miami, and I kept telling people said, well, they beat y'all 40 to this. I said, well, you got to look at how the game played out. Clemson didn't even score no more in the second half against Miami. They was down. Miami was down 14 points going into the fourth quarter. They turned the ball. Clemson turned the ball over like they turned the ball over 5 times. They lost 3 of the turnovers. If Miami had any spark of an offense, that game could have got close quick because it was still top of the fourth quarter. Clemson didn't score the next point until 4 minutes left in the game and 16 seconds. So to me, I'm not even looking at it as a blowout, because that's garbage points right at that point. Then you turn around, Clemson came back and jumped 14 points on South Carolina. And guess what South Carolina did? They stayed with it. They settled themselves down, and they played their type of game, and they took advantage of the mistakes. If North Carolina take advantage of any mistake Clemson makes today, North Carolina will win. Then there'll be 2 losses that Clemson suffer for the state of South Carolina and North Carolina in the same year. That will be the first. So do it. I don't like I said. This is a pick 'em toss up game for me. I would love to see North Carolina win just to make sure Clemson don't have no conversations about anything about college playoffs for them either. So I guess you could. I'll go North Carolina by 3. I'll pick it. North Carolina by 3.
Yeah, I don't think you're too far off with that thinking with either point. So personally, I don't have too much of a vetting interest in it simply because, I'm more into the college football playoff implication games. But I think you guys are right on the money with it. Clemson, they've been known to get blown out over the top. And we all know Mac Brown's going to love to do that. And, I just don't see Clemson jumping back that quick. But then again, it is Dabo. He always likes drawing it up. And again, tried to mention it earlier that it's hard to, beat a team twice.
Yeah.
Clemson already got him once. So
again, Clemson, and they don't dominate people like they used to dominate. They haven't, like I say, I'm trying to go back and look at the one dominant game that Clemson actually had this year. When I kind of look at their schedule, because they should have lost a while ago this year. NC State was a pretty good team. They beat NC State. Boston College. You beat Boston College. That was a scrimmage game. But Florida State, you beat them. You beat them by 6 points. Syracuse, you even struggled against them. Notre Dame beat the dog crap out of you, and Notre Dame was suspect at the time. You beat Louisville by 15. Miami, that's Martin. That game was really close than what it was, but they end up overwhelming Miami. You lost to Wake Forest. You should have lost to Wake Forest earlier in the season. And Georgia Tech, they beat Georgia Tech 41-10, and which is a game I covered. That game was closer than what it was. That game was actually closer than what it was. Georgia Tech actually played them hard in the first half. So even in the blowouts, you've seen some type of struggle in Clemson. Even when these 41-10 blowouts, you still saw some type of struggle against Clemson earlier on in the game. You saw some type of vulnerability early in the game.
I agree. I definitely agree with that because, like I said, Clemson hasn't been strong all year, and that's the same thing I said about Alabama. They haven't been strong all year either. There was a lot. If you think about it, if Clemson lost the games that they struggle in, their record would have been even just as worse as Miami's would have been at this point in time. You know what I'm saying? There's at least four extra losses. Michigan. If you put the Syracuse game, the Wake game, on there, that's 4 losses on the season for Clemson. Alabama should have had at least 4 losses on the season.
I know they should have lost my Texas Longhorns for sure. They should have lost to them.
That was Texas, A&M. Definitely, they should have lost them games.
Yep. Quentin Ewers was out for Texas, which really made a difference. A&M, the quarterback situation just wasn't good. Hayes King is not a good quarterback at all. He's a terrible quarterback. He is not a really good quarterback. And yeah, those made the difference for those losses right there.
So
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a lot of different ways that this college football season could have went. I mean, obviously, just kind of looking back on everything now, we almost had the chaos of 2007.
mhm.
I mean, because what was it, Kansas to start the year, 5-0?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, my God, and here they are, 6-6.
They fell apart in Big 12 play.
Yeah, I mean, the Big
Mhm.
12 ate them alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, they fell apart
They
quick.
fell apart in Big 12 play.
Quick, boy.
They fell apart quick in Big 12 play.
Yeah. But not only that, I mean, Alabama didn't reign supreme
Yep.
like they normally do. Tennessee out of nowhere, for the 1st time since the 90s, they had a solid run. I mean, TCU, I think this is their first actual 12-0 season in program history. I don't know if they got one with Gary Patterson. I knew they were close one year when they made the Rose Bowl against Wisconsin. I don't know if they went into that undefeated or if they were 12-1.
Yep.
But I mean, I don't know. I mean, what's been your guys' favorite story this season?
Oh, man,
Yeah, I'm gonna make y'all think about this now.
like I say, man, you named so many good points. You named TCU. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm not gonna go on the winning side, but my point is Oklahoma. How bad they played this year.
Mm.
How bad that defense played this year. And we all know Venables was a defensive coordinator for, Dabo Sweeney and those national championship runs. You're thinking Oklahoma still is going to have the talent to come out and win the Big 12. I think I had Oklahoma winning the Big 12, but I was far off how wrong I was. And this defense not playing well, giving up 60 points. And when is the last time you seen my Longhorns beat OU like that as bad as they did? I mean, shut them out. I mean, Sarkisian called the Dogs off really on them in the middle of that third quarter. That game was so bad. Then the week before that, they gave up. Man, that was a scrimmage game so bad against TCU. I seen nothing but wide open wide receivers all over the place. Guys getting confusing coverage, but that goes back to fact Lincoln Riley kind of hurted them too. Took some of them 5-star guys from Oklahoma and over there at USC. They lost a lot of guys to Lincoln Riley over there, and that kind of hurted that defense and the offense at the same time. The quarterback situation, I think Gabriel went out with a concussion early on this season, and they struggling with the quarterback situation. I mean, Oklahoma just was a mess all around from the start of the year. From the start of the year to the ending of the season, but they did beat Oklahoma State, beat the brakes off Oklahoma State. But let's be honest, Oklahoma State is fraudulent as well because they got beat 38-0 versus they got beat 38-0 against Kansas State as well. So Oklahoma State, that speaks how good really suspect Oklahoma State was. But I'll say, man, I'm about to go with Oklahoma. Oklahoma was really bad this year.
Okay. Martin, what about you, bud?
This season brought a lot of different things for me. Just before the season start, I always talk about college realignment, the shocker that was, USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that I didn't see coming. Then you had Oregon trying to jump ship. This season brought a lot of different elements, especially when I get to see Alabama get beat. I love it. I love it. I was glad to see South Carolina finally beat a good team, not once but twice. Tennessee played a heck of a year. My ACC finally got like at least 4 or 5 teams in the top 25. That's been a long time for that to happen. While all the teams playing really good and competitive football. I think the most probably disappointing of the year for me is my Miami Hurricanes. But I think when I wanted to see what Cincinnati was going to do now that They was in a college playoff. They didn't play. Their season wasn't as great as they expected. They've been in some games, and then you kind of started seeing them losing. Now that their coach Luke Finkel is leaving,
Mhm.
so and then they just moved into the Big 12, so that's going to be kind of interesting how Cincinnati is going to regroup. Um, Overall, I think the college landscape this year was very competitive, very different from any other year that I had watched. Because there was a lot of unknowns, very lot of the unknowns in there. Because you had the Pac-12 where you think it was Oregon was going to win it, then you thought USC was going to win it, then you thought Utah was going to win it, because Utah was the favorite anyway in that
Mhm.
division. So um, then everybody picked Ohio State. They was riding high all year, but they had some close games just like everybody else, eked out.
Mhm.
So, but it was good to see, that someone like TCU kind of like still rising above all of that to, get their name into that category. So this
Mhm.
this year was very interesting for me. I like it. It's not over yet, but I'm sure by the end of the complete end of the season, after all the bowls are said and done, we could look back and say, hey, we got some calls, we got some picks right, and we got some wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna say probably I don't know if it's my favorite story, but the one that's had me probably watching the most was just the entire Pac-12 shenanigans that was.
Yeah.
Because at first it was Oregon. That ended week one. Then it was UCLA, and then it was USC, back to UCLA, back to USC, back to Utah, back to USC. Like
Mm-hmm.
just all the movement around it. And then not only that, you have to end it with the question of was Utah even the right choice and should it have been Washington? Because they won all their tiebreakers, but
Mm-hmm.
they still decided to send Utah instead.
Yep.
So I mean, that's probably been the biggest story, but I mean, probably my least favorite one because I just hate talking about them is Notre Dame because I was starting to get real tired of seeing them slowly climbing up them boards. How do you lose to Marshall and Stanford at home and you still have a shot at a New Year's Six Bowl? I
Yeah,
personally thought that they were overrated from the beginning. I think, other than the USC, that would have been their best win and they couldn't
yeah,
even do that.
Yeah,
yeah.
I definitely agree with you. I thought I coming into no, I like I said, I never I for 3 years I always said Notre Dame was a fraudulent football team. I always
Mhm,
said that, and I say it's like I always say they're not they don't even deserve to be in a college football playoff because the
mhm.
last time we ever seen them in a college football playoff or a national championship, they got embarrassed every single time.
Yep.
So
And I
and you come in, you lose to Marshall, you get beat by Marshall.
At
You put up a
home.
good fight good fight against Ohio State, but the very next week you get beat by Marshall at home on your home turf, and you look and like I say again, I always thought they were a fraudulent team, and even Marcus Freeman was coming on the upside, but I mean, you did beat Clemson, who was bound for a loss anyway. They were bound for a
Mhm,
loss anyway. Then you couldn't even beat, like you said, beat USC. You couldn't even win the biggest game that you're supposed to win. So outside of Clemson, what have Notre Dame has done? So at the end of the day, if they go to a conference, especially at the Big Ten conference, they're gonna all hell gonna break loose for them.
that's why I say that Notre Dame need to go ahead and fully join the ACC because it'll help them a little bit better. It'll help because I think with them still being independent, it's going to be a struggle for them to get in that 12. It's make no mistake, Notre Dame gonna have to be on their P's and Q's every year. They're gonna have to win games, and I don't see them kind of like sustaining that. That Clemson win was a signature win, and everybody like, oh, well, Clemson. I mean, Notre Dame has a chance to get in the college playoff, but like you said, when you lose to bad teams in the beginning of the year, it hurts you. And shout out to all of them teams, them teams that upset a lot of guys, a lot of big schools this year. You know, the Middle
Sun
Tennessee,
Belt.
the Sun Belt, Appalachian State, you know, Marshall, Middle Tennessee State. I mean,
Had
we,
to emphasize that one twice.
yeah, I mean, you gotta really, I mean, these programs, these programs going to recruit just as hard to get recognized too. And look what Appalachian State almost did twice. You know, they almost
Mhm.
took out North Carolina. North Carolina should have lost that game hands down.
Mm.
They should have lost that
Mhm.
game hands down. So I mean, these you're gonna have to think twice about trying to schedule these schools now because they not the same typical schools from yesteryear where you just beat them down 80 to zip and it's like okay we going on our way. These teams are starting to get competitive all the way around, and this and if you go schedule teams like that, you better be prepared to play them all the way. Even from your gave Clemson in trouble this year. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
you, I mean, I think that's why I said I think with the college playoff going to 12, I think some of these teams is going to be cautious how they play these lower schools because they don't want to. And I think the committee should make every good team have at least one bad school on their schedule, not three or four, and then have a successful record and with no competition. I think that's kind of like BS to me.
Alabama.
Oh yeah, you know, at least have one, and then you have to play. I will make somebody like the SEC. You have to play three teams from different conferences. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
the Big Ten, the Pac, the ACC. Then that'll show because we get it in the NFL. The NFL, I mean, regardless of who's bad, you can't pick the schedule. You have to go out and you have to go out and compete, and sometimes you
Mhm.
lose. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. And one idea that I had kind of piggybacking off of that is eventually we know that the super conferences are coming. I feel like we're going to end up with four. Or actually, no,
Yeah,
I think we'll end up with five. But I think if you're in those, your four non conference games, you have to play whoever finished in your exact same spot in all those other conferences as well.
yeah,
That should be your non conference schedule every year. And then you alternate home away, home away.
I
Because
agree.
then you can't be beaten up on Austin P to make your resume look better to use it as a tune up for Auburn. I'm sorry. Why do you
Yep.
need a tune up if you that good?
Yep.
Yeah,
I like I kind of like that I like that narrative right there. And like I say I'm a big fan of going out there and competing in I saw all those scrimmage games that you're having. I mean, again, Austin Pease, you're playing schools that doesn't have no business being on the field on the same field as you. Uh
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think like I say it should be more competition, especially in the middle of the season, how they schedule Mercer and all of those guys, man. Scheduling got to be better, man. You getting ready to go to NFL. You got to if you Nick Saban, you got an NFL type team. You can't be having scrimmages against Mercer and Furman and stuff like that. I want to at least want to see you go out there and play some of these big time schools. I wouldn't care if they in the top 25. If they in the top 25, then that means they're considered okay. They're considered good enough for you to be. But teams like Mercer and Furman and stuff. I don't want to see those in Austin Pease. I don't want to see that on the schedule. I would hate to see that on that schedule.
I would
exactly.
like it just doesn't seem right, but you know, who are we to say anything? Because I mean, there've been those upsets where they pay the millions of dollars, and then we get that upset, and everybody goes wild for it. So
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe it's just part of college football that we have to deal with that. But I mean, I think we see it on every level. Even the mid majors, they always have one, but it's one. It's not three or four. So, all right. Well, I think that's really about it for today. Y'all got anything else before we get into what may
Uh,
be the chaos? I mean, do you? Well, actually, here, I'll ask you all this because selection day is tomorrow. Lock it in right now. How's that Final Four looking out?
all right, my final four: Georgia, Michigan, TCU and Ohio State.
Okay.
Mine is Georgia, Michigan.
He's
I'm
thinking
kind of stuck on
about it.
mine.
He's
I'm
thinking
thinking,
about it.
okay. This is what I'm gonna do. Okay, I don't think two teams will lose today. I don't. I'm getting confused because my last team. All
Okay.
right, mine is Georgia, TCU, Michigan. No, TCU for the lose today. TCU is gonna lose today, so I'm gonna have Ohio State and Alabama in there. Those are my top four. So it will be Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, and Ohio State. Because
Okay.
I got TCU on upset alert today.
All right.
But I hope it
So-
don't happen because I got a kid, a friend that play on that team that I coached since 7 years old. But at the end of the day, I got Kansas State with an upset. I just love controversy stuff. That's it.
Yeah. So mine, I got Georgia, Michigan, that they locks. I have Ohio State jumping to 3, and I have TCU. You know, I've thought about this. Even with I do think K State can win,
Yeah.
but I think the committee will see TCU still good enough, and if it's a close game, I think TCU hangs on to that 4th spot and they keep Bama out.
Well,
Okay.
right.
Just because
Well,
they don't want to have a 2-loss team in.
Well, right now, I mean, TCU is what, the number 3 seed? The number 3 seed right now?
Yeah,
Yep.
they number 3 seed.
So I think if TCU wants to hold that number 3 seed, I think they have to beat Kansas.
They gotta win.
They gotta beat Kansas State by at least 2 touchdowns to
Yeah.
hold that spot.
Hey,
Because
to be honest, Mark, you remember we were talking about that? I love that Michigan and Kansas State match. Michigan and Kansas. I love that Michigan and TCU matchup. I love that matchup. I would love that matchup.
That's the matchup I don't really want to see because that's gonna be both of them. They play tough. You can expect probably a low scoring game, a fight to the finish on that one. So that's why I want if TCU beats K State by at least 2 touchdowns, hold on to that 3 spot, then there's no way you could get Ohio State to jump TCU into a 3 spot. It's no way possible. Unless the committee said, well, we'll put TCU here because you just want to get them eliminated as quick as possible. You don't want them to go any further. Because say, for instance, TCU does get in there and they upset a Michigan and play for the national championship. Don't you know how much chaos would be happening? You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
TCU right now, they hold their destiny in their hand, and they're gonna have to make it worth they're gonna have to make the committee think about them. That's what I say.
Yeah, and I mean, I think they have just because originally when the first ranking came out, they didn't give them no respect, and then they finally had to put them at 4. But I think they just like Cincinnati. They win, they are in, and then Ohio State will take 4 simply because they don't want to have Michigan, Ohio State play again right away. They're going to try to keep them 2 split. But that's all the time we got for today, boys. So we come back next week, and we've got about 35 games to go over next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna have I have my notes and everything ready.
Yeah, I have everything wrote down.
Yeah, we might have that might be a 3-hour show right now.
Yeah, and I did talk to Cool about it. They said that's cool if we do go to full 3.
All right, sounds good with me. I'm ready to roll.
Yeah, but I know they ain't all fun, but we do need to give everybody their credit because they playing for something. So But obviously for AC, Martin, and Dante, it's been a pleasure. Enjoy your guys' college conference championship Saturday. We'll see y'all next week.
All right.
Yeah.